Si comes tienes que lavar tu plato, Firulais. Anda, enjuágalo bien. No me gruñas. A ver, con la esponja eso. Y enjuaga bien que luego deja todo jabonoso. Eso así, muy bien, aunque de malas.
Welcome to the motherfucking we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. More undercard information has come out about the upcoming Harper versus Dubois fight set to go down in the United Kingdom, brought to you by MVP, who will also be debuting in the market. Former champion Shannon Courtenay is set to take on Sasha Booker in a super flyweight bout. Shannon must have realized that things are a little bit too competitive at 118 for her at this stage, and she's decided to drop down to super flyweight. The sad part is, it's not any better down there. If what she was thinking was it would be easier to win a belt at 115 instead of 118, don't forget that at 118 there's really only one champion, arguably two. At 115 there are four. 118 there's Shernika Johnson and Lineal Ring Magazine champion Dina Thorsland. At 115 there's Jasmine Artiga holding the WBA, Adelaida Ruiz holding the WBC, Mizuki Hiruta holding the WBO, and Irma Garcia holding the IBF, though not for long. I think Emma Doolin is going to take it from her. Maybe Shannon has it in her head that winning a belt at 115 would be easier. There are more paths to an alphabet title, though how easy it is to win one all depends on which champion you have in front of you. I don't think Shannon beats Adelaida Ruiz of the West Coast. I don't think she beats Mizuki Hiruta of Japan. Her best bet would be Irma Garcia. She weren't already set to lose her belt on that same show to Emma Doolin. Maybe you could do a fight between Shannon and Emma. Nigeria's own unbeaten up-and-comer Elizabeth Oshoba is set to finally make her MVP debut opposite the ring Chelsea Arnell in a featherweight bout. Elizabeth was signed months ago, and she was supposed to have already made her debut under the banner, but something happened and she wasn't able to do it, so now she's going to do it on the undercard of Harper versus Dubois. Elizabeth Oshoba, if you haven't seen her, is very statuesque for the weight. Lots of height, lots of length, power. She's a big featherweight.
Big.
You could give Elizabeth decent odds against Nina Menka, this division's IBF champion. It would be more of a 50-50 fight with Tiaria Brown, the WBC champion. At the moment, she's going to be facing Chelsea Arnell, who we're going to give a closer look as the fight date approaches. Taisi Gallagher
Fucking hot.
is going to be facing Finland's Teresa McKinnon in a super bantamweight bout. Super bantamweight, that is where Ellie Scottney and Mayeli Flores will be fighting for undisputed on that same show. That is where Taisi Gallagher's fight is taking place. Taisi Gallagher, solid little fighter, domestic level now, still developing. She's been around the block in the domestic scene, but has yet to graduate to world level and face world level opponents. She's going to be facing Teresa, who we're going to find out more about as the fight date approaches. I feel like for Taisi, who's not signed to MVP, this fight is sort of a rehearsal that if you can win, and win the fight in good fashion, maybe you also win yourself an MVP contract. Maybe they decide to do more business with you moving forward, since they're going to be doing shows in the UK. Maybe. Taisi's done fairly well at area level, domestic level. We've yet to see how she fares at world level. We're going to see how she fares with Teresa McKinnon on that show. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, the IBF has ordered Albert Bell versus Andy Cruz lightweight eliminator to crown the mandatory challenger for Raymond Muratalla, who still is IBF champion. Andy Cruz's road back to a title shot could be shorter than expected, as Jake Donovan reports that the IBF has ordered him to face unbeaten Albert Bell in a final eliminator, which Andy has accepted. This is literally what I told you would happen immediately after Andy suffered his first loss to Raymond. There was talk of Andy potentially dropping down to 130,
But I didn't buy into that shit.
Andy Cruz, whose ludicrous amateur pedigree prompted a fast-tracked pro career, is coming off a terrific losing effort against reigning champion Raymond Muratalla in one of the better fights of this year. Tossing losers right back into eliminators is a pet peeve of mine, but between the fact that Cruz just barely came up short, and the fact that Lucas Bondi initially got the call to meet Bell.
Yeah, Lucas rejected the fight.
This one is more tolerable than most. Initially, it was supposed to be Lucas Bondi, but he prioritized a WBA title fight with Floyd Schofield, allowing Andy Cruz to come back into the frame.
And I said that he would.
Amidst talk that he may be too small for lightweight and he should probably drop down to super feather, I didn't buy into that because I knew that Raymond Muratalla is not going to stay at this weight. The IBF champion is likely going to drop the IBF title to move up to 140. Right on time for Andy Cruz to have a second crack at the apple.
But this time he'll have to go through Albert Bell. The Prince spent a good amount of time as the WBO's top contender at 130, but the sanctioning body never wound up calling his number, prompting a move up to 135 following a year-long layoff. He's 2-0 at his new weight, taking all 20 rounds on all 6 scorecards and securing one of the IBF's many trinkets to secure his top spot in the rankings.
What else you need to know about Albert Bell?
He's got a lot. And I mean a lot more professional experience than Andy Cruz. More fights, more rounds in the bank by a wide margin. 28-0 to be exact. To Andy, who's got what? 6 or 7, just 6 or 7 professional fights. And not only that, they're calling Albert Bell the fighter that's moving up in weight. But in reality, he's a bigger man than Andy Cruz. He stands in at a whopping 6 feet tall.
That is gargantuan for a 135-pound fighter.
So even if Andy Cruz is getting a second crack at the apple, it's not without its caveats, without its drawbacks. He came up just short of the mark against Raymond Muratalla, who I thought he was going to beat. I thought Andy was going to win, but he got outworked by Raymond, who fought the right fight.
Andy didn't get beat up, per se. He didn't get ragdolled, but he did get outworked, as Raymond Muratalla was the fighter coming forward, being busy, throwing combinations. Andy wasn't active enough. Chalk it up to inexperience, because going in,
He only had 6 fights.
his opponent had a lot more pro experience than he did, more rounds in the bank, more fights. And the same applies here with Albert Bell.
Albert's got way more fights than Andy does.
And way more size, way more height, way more length. So it's not a guarantee that Andy wins it this time. I think the only thing this does guarantee is that Raymond Muratalla will not be sticking around to fight the winner. He already had plans to go up to 140.
He's likely going to accelerate those plans under threat of having to fight Andy Cruz again or having to fight Albert Bell. There's just not much money in those fights. If you're Raymond Muratalla, you did what you had to do at 135, and now you want to fry the bigger fish at 140.
So how long do you give it before he moves up?
Well, he doesn't have any mandatories in the queue right now, so there is wiggle room to fight a voluntary in defense of the red and gold title, but as soon as a mandatory is crowned, I expect him to move up shortly after that.
Men's welterweight news ahead of this weekend's mega match. I know I'm a champion for a reason. Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia share their final thoughts on their title fight. Tomorrow night features a WBC welterweight title fight between reigning champion Mario Barrios defending his belt against challenger Ryan Garcia. Both fighters appeared for a final press conference yesterday to share some final thoughts on their upcoming battle, with Oscar De La Hoya showing off that brand new sparkly piece from the WBC, which will be awarded to the winner of this main event. Here's some excerpts from the fighters themselves on the match. Garcia, on what he's bringing to this fight. There's not a lot that I haven't seen in the sport of boxing. A long amateur career, the amount of fights I've had, all the sparring I've had. For me, I'm just preparing myself, and I have as best as I possibly can. And now, when I step in the ring, I know myself I will be 100%. So we just have to see when he's in there how he is. But I definitely don't think it's something I haven't seen. I think I could do a lot of talking and say, oh, I've prepared as best as I can. You can just look at me and see the shape I'm in and how I look and have your own opinion about it. I think that speaks enough.
Speaks even more about it is that Mario Barrios is coming off of 2 back-to-back draws, one with a 46-year-old who hadn't boxed in 3 years. This is who Ryan is fighting for a title.
Mario Barrios, on being the champion but Garcia commanding the most attention, said, "None of it has bothered me. I know I'm the champion for a reason. I know everything I've been doing in the gym, everything I've been doing to prepare for this fight. I'm not a talker when it comes to all this, but every time I get in the ring I fight. I leave it all in there, and that's exactly what I'm looking forward to this Saturday. I'm really happy with the way things went in this camp, and I couldn't really ask for much more. I'm just ready. I think I'm just watching film on Ryan's last couple of performances. We can see a lot of flaws in his game, and it didn't take somebody knowing Ryan personally to have the edge over him."
Referring to his newly formed relationship with Joe Goosen, who will be in his corner where he used to be in Ryan's.
He used to train him. In the build-up of this weekend's fight, a lot was being made of that. Does that give Mario the inside track on Ryan? And being honest, I don't think that's going to matter in the least bit, because Joe Goosen can't fight the fight for you. Mario just is what he is. Now, he says that he's champion for a reason.
What reason is that?
It's not what he's suggesting. He doesn't find himself in that position due to his own eliticism so much as being in the right place at the right time to pick up a vacant title, because after Terrence Crawford became this division's undisputed champion and decided to move up, the belts got redistributed.
Somebody had to pick up the WBC title, and it was him. But if it wasn't him, it was going to be somebody else. The point is, Mario Barrios is boxing's equivalent of a placeholder.
A paperweight.
There's no nice way for me to say that, but what do you want me to say? Do you want me to say that he's here because of his eliticism, his elite fighting ability?
He's not.
That'd be like me saying that Ryan Garcia finds himself here because he fought his way to the top and earned this opportunity. How many lies do we have to tell to sell this fight? The only reason Ryan finds himself here is because he's popular enough that the WBC wants him to be their champion, and the only reason Mario's willing to fight him,
Money.
it's the money. He's fighting this guy voluntarily because they're paying him good money to do it. It's the only reason that he's here.
That and Ryan is coming off a loss, so he might like his chances. Mario might be telling himself, if Rolly beat him, I can beat him, and it also helps that the guy who trained me used to train him.
It's a fight that came together for all the wrong reasons, due to the WBC's chicanery and favoritism.
I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I'm not going to pour sugar on shit. If Mario has a belt, and he says it's for a reason, the reason is he was just in the right place at the right time.
Men's junior middleweight news. Former undisputed junior middleweight champion Jermell Charlo is ready to fight Devin Haney if he moves up to 154.
The former undisputed super welterweight boxing world champion Jermell Charlo is ready to welcome Devin Haney if his fellow American were to ever move from 147 up to 154. The 35-year-old is a wildly decorated fighter as a two-time WBC champion who unified the entire division and went through a who's who of top-tier names like Erickson Lubin, Austin Trout, Tony Harrison, Jason Rosario, Brian Castano, until he ran into Saul Canelo Alvarez and lost a lopsided UD to the Mexican powerhouse in Las Vegas in 2023. Charlo has not been seen since. However, he talks up a possible return to the ring this year and seems interested in bringing Haney up a division to box. Haney, 8 years Charlo's junior, has fought a similar gauntlet, beating George Kambosos twice, Vasily Lomachenko, Regis Prograis before a no contest with Brian Garcia in the last year, with wins over Jose Ramirez and Brian Norman. He thumped his way to the pound-for-pound top 10. A successful move to junior middle would elevate his status even more as one of the greatest fighters of the modern era, and it's a move Charlo encourages. "Meet me," he said, in an apparent response to Devin's father and trainer, Bill Haney, suggesting in an interview that the fighter would be interested in competing at junior middle. Charlo offered advice: "Don't write a check, your ass can't cash." As a three-weight world champion boxer, Haney, at 27, has already proven pound-for-pound credentials, but even so, there were suggestions that after a superb showing against Norman that he'd move up to junior middle. Through Bill, speaking to the Boxing Voice, Haney said they were interested in a showdown against the unified champion of the weight, Xander Zayas. It's clear that Haney's belief sustained success across multiple champions, picking up world titles in each, is a key part of forging a legacy in modern boxing.
Where does Jermel fit into that picture?
Nowhere, because I don't think he's on their radar. What's unclear is if they'd be as interested in fighting Jermel, a non-title holder who has not fought in close to 3 years, as they would be in Zayas. What Jermel Charlo is doing is answering a call that no one made. Because when the Haneys said they'd move up to 154, it wasn't for him.
He's getting all dressed up for a party he wasn't invited to. He's got his dance shoes on, reeking of cheap cologne and blind ambition.
Ready to become everybody's punching bag at junior middle, because when you insist on fighting in these fights, under these circumstances, he's called out Terrence Crawford, he's called out Jaron Ennis, now he's calling out Devin Haney, he himself having not fought in 3 years.
You're not really giving yourself the best chance to win, are you?
Because Jermel Charlo isn't really trying to win so much as trying to cash in. After 3 years, he's likely spent most, if not all, of the money he made in the Canelo fight. Now he's pressed for cash and willing to whore himself out to whoever can use him, whoever is willing.
There's no real reason, no good one, for Jermel Charlo to not have had a tune-up fight, a rebound fight, following his loss to Canelo, because he had enough time. If what he wanted to do was take a year off, okay, go ahead. But you should have come back by now.
You can take a year off, but not 2, not in sequence, and certainly not 3. That's just overdoing it, to where when you come back now, and you're calling out all these guys that don't fucking need you, you just sound desperate. Never mind what it was that you used to have, because what the fuck do you have now that they would need?
I maintain my original position that I don't even think Jermel should be looking to return to the junior middleweight division, and instead should come back at 160, because all those guys at 154 will eventually move up there. Xander, Sebastian,
Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. To where if you make your comeback at 160, make it your mission to become a champion there, by the time those kids start moving up, they're going to have to see you if they want a belt. But here and now, there's no incentive, no real reason for them to fight you. So you're wasting your own time.
What do you think he's been up to the last 3 years?
And when you call them out like this, still coming off that loss to Canelo Alvarez, it doesn't communicate hunger. It doesn't communicate wanting to show the world that you're still the best and that you've still got it. There's nothing wrong with one professional boxer calling out another, but context matters.
When you do it this way, it doesn't seem like you want to win so much as you just want to cash in. You're hoping that somebody can find use for you and throw a few $1 million in your bank account.
But you ain't worth it, and that's the truth. Point being, I don't think the Haneys are going to give Jermel Charlo the time of day. I don't think he's on their radar, irrespective of what he used to be.
Not those things now, so who fucking cares?